There's a textbook number for how much you should have invested by 25, 30, and 35. And then there's what real people actually have. We're covering both today. And honestly, the second one might make you feel a lot better. Okay, first, let's get on the same page. When people say invested, they don't mean money sitting in your regular checking account. They mean money in things like a retirement account or a brokerage account, an account made specifically for buying investments, where it's put into things like stocks or index funds, so it has a chance to grow over time. Think of it like a garden. Cash in your checking account is like seeds still in the packet. Safe, but not growing. Money that's invested is like seeds actually in the ground. Most of the growth happens quietly underground, long before you see anything above the soil. Two people can have the exact same amount of money and be in totally different positions, just based on whether it's planted or still in the packet. Here's why this specific question is actually worth sitting with, instead of scrolling past it. The earlier you know where you stand, the more time your money has to do that quiet underground growing we just talked about. This isn't about panic. It's about giving your future self more runway. Checking in now, even if the answer feels a little uncomfortable, is genuinely more useful than finding out you're behind in your 50s, when there's a lot less time left for that seed to grow. And honestly, I get why this topic makes people's eyes glaze over, or makes some people avoid it completely. Part of it is that everyone online quotes a different number, so it's hard to know which one to even trust. Part of it is that these benchmarks usually assume a steady salary and a straight career path, and a lot of real lives don't look like that. For example, people take career breaks, have freelance income, or go back to study. And part of it is just plain math anxiety, such as hearing a percentage or a multiplier and immediately checking out. None of that means you can't understand this. It just means the confusion genuinely isn't your fault. Now here's the part that actually brings most people to this video. You saw a number somewhere, maybe on social media, and it made your stomach drop a little, like you're already behind before you even started. I want to gently push back on that feeling before we even look at a figure. These benchmark numbers are built from averages. They don't know your rent, your student loans, a layoff, a slow start, none of it. A garden planted in April looks completely different from one planted in July. That doesn't mean the July garden is failing. It's just on a different clock. Hold on to that thought while we go through the actual numbers, because it changes how you read them. So let's bring this into real life. Alright, let's start with the textbook version. A commonly cited guideline from major retirement research suggests aiming to have around half your annual salary invested by 25, about 1 times your annual salary by 30, and around 2 times your annual salary invested by 35. So if someone earns $60,000 a year, the textbook version says something like $30,000 invested by 25, $60,000 by 30, and $120,000 by 35. These are illustrative examples, not a target you need to hit exactly. Now here's the part one actually think matters more. What do real people actually have invested? According to survey data on household finances, the typical or median amount many people under 35 have set aside for retirement is closer to the high teens of thousands of dollars, and for people in their mid-30s to mid-40s, that median moves up to somewhere in the tens of thousands. So if the textbook number felt miles away from where you're at, you are statistically in very good company. Most people are not hitting that textbook benchmark, and that's not a personal failure. That's just the reality of average incomes, rent, and life happening. So what do you actually do with this? Let's break it down by age, using the garden idea. At 25, you're mostly just trying to get a seed in the ground at all. That might mean starting with whatever your workplace retirement account offers, especially if there's an employer match, because that's essentially free extra soil for your seed. It doesn't need to be a big amount. Consistency matters more than size here. At 30, the focus shifts. You're checking that the seed is actually still planted, meaning your money is invested, not sitting in cash doing nothing. It's also a good age to look at your contribution as a percentage of income and nudge it up if you can. At 35, it's less about starting and more about tending, checking your investments still match your comfort with risk, and making sure old workplace accounts haven't been forgotten in a corner of your garden. None of these ages are a deadline. They're more like check-in points. Now, let's be honest about what these numbers can't tell you. They don't account for two people with the same salary having wildly different starting points. One might have family support, the other might be paying off debt or supporting family themselves. They don't account for where you live, or a year you were job hunting instead of earning. And investing always carries some risk. Markets go up and down, and past patterns are never a guarantee of what happens next. These benchmarks are a general compass, not a report card. If your numbers don't match, that mostly just tells you that averages are, well, average. So here's a genuinely low-pressure next step, and it takes about 5 minutes. Just find out what you currently have invested, wherever that account is, and write down that one number. That's it. Not a plan, not a big overhaul, just one honest number, so you know your actual starting point instead of guessing. Once you know that number, you can decide on your own time whether you want to nudge it up. You genuinely don't need to catch up to anyone by next week. Quick recap before we go. The textbook numbers are a rough guide, not a rule book. Roughly half your salary by 25, 1 times by 30, 2 times by 35. Most real people are still working towards that benchmark, and that's genuinely normal. What actually matters is that your money is planted, meaning invested, not sitting still. And the only step you need today is knowing your one number. This isn't personalized financial advice, it's just how this generally works, so always feel free to look into your own specific situation further. If this reaffirmed that you're on the right track, or made you feel even a little less behind, that was the whole point. Remember, everyone's circumstances are different. And if you're heading in the right direction or faring comfortably above the average, take the time to consider how you can keep building upon your current position to continue setting yourself up successfully for the future. Continuing to feed and water your garden, even when the flowers are blooming, will just make for even better gains down the road. If you want more videos like this, one honest money topic at a time, come back and hang out with me again. Let me know what topic you want me to cover next. This is your finance sister. Money Actually Explained. I'll see you in the next one.